Hello and welcome to the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I am Kurt, I'm your host this morning. I want to especially welcome everybody who's coming aboard on Rumble, on the podcast, and YouTube. Thank you for watching, and I'm always happy to have you aboard. I wanted to talk today about a subject that is obviously the title of a blog that I'm working on, and it is the idea of who's responsible. Here's the thing that you need to understand. I have had a problem in my life, and I think a lot of people have had this same problem. The problem is that I had a hard time, and still sometimes I do have a hard time of accepting the fact that I am largely responsible, if not completely so, but certainly largely so, responsible for the things that happen in my life. It's a hard thing to internalize at times, particularly because it's so easy to cast blame on other people who you know are doing things and acting in ways that are unreasonable and improper. But the thing of it is this. You have almost always, this is not always true, okay, but it's almost always true. You have the ability, you have the authority to look at your world and make adjustments, to make changes, and to figure out ways to make it so that what happens in your world is more what you would desire and more correct and more proper. And part of that is deciding what things are important to you and acting in accordance with that realization that this or that's important. And I want to say that I've had this problem a lot with personal relationships, right? When you're married or when you're in a relationship with someone, whether it's that kind of relationship, the marital boyfriend-girlfriend type of relationship, or whether it's the type of relationship where it's a friend or whatever, those people with whom you're in that relationship may do things that are problematic. And that's just life. That's how that's going to work, right? You can't stop them from doing that. You know that they're going to. So the thing is, you have a couple of choices where that's concerned. The first is how you're going to relate to that person in the first place, right? So I've been married. I'm not ashamed to say this, and I'm not embarrassed to say it, but I think it's an unfortunate thing, and it's my fault, okay, that this unfortunate thing is true. I've been married now 4 times. The first 2 times were to the same person, so you could argue that I've only been married 3 times. I just married the same person twice. But regardless that, okay, I've been married 4 times now. Now, to be fair, I've never really had a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship other than well before I was an adult, in which I wasn't married. So I've only ever been in marital relationships in that sense. I've never done the boyfriend-girlfriend thing for any length of time at all, other than, well, not at all, to anyone to whom I wasn't married, okay? But the thing about it is, I could make all kinds of excuses. I could give you all kinds of reasons that the people with whom I was in those relationships were the problem for the breakup or the dissolution, or whatever you want to say, of the relationships that I've been in. But first of all, it's not really helpful. It doesn't really help anything. And second of all, in doing so, I abdicate my own authority and my own responsibility. Those of you that don't know, abdicate essentially means to step down or step away from something that is yours, that belongs to you, over which you have authority, right? And so the point is, I abdicate that authority. I abdicate my responsibility if I choose to allow somebody else to have power over what I do. And so that's really not a good thing, okay? The same is true for business connections and business activities, business relationships and so forth. You have the right in business relationships to deal with those people with whom you have those relationships. You have the right to deal with entities in ways that will make the relationships, those, activities that relate to others better, or you can choose to do badly. And here's the thing. I worked with a guy, and I'm not going to get into detail. He probably knows, though he probably isn't looking at any of my videos. But I worked with a guy who, he more or less hated me when I first started working with him pretty directly. I'd worked with him for a while, but not directly. I began to work with him more directly, and he didn't like me at all. My attitude in that situation was not even just to tough it out, but really to do everything that I could to make it so that my relationship with him was as harmless as possible, as innocuous as possible. And what ended up happening is, I won't say that I ended up becoming his best friend or anything, but we really became pretty good workmate type friendship people, right? People who worked together and had friendships. We really became pretty good in that sense. And frankly, I never really disrespected the guy to begin with. He just didn't really care for me, right? So I was able to work with him and get to a place where the relationship was a better one. And this is the thing. Any kind of relationship, any kind of situation, any kind of scenario you find yourself in, you have to look at what you can do to make things better, and you have to take responsibility for that relationship or that situation, and that's how things are going to get better if it's going to happen. Look, you're going to find yourself in relationships, and this is no secret, right? You're going to find yourself in relationships that never will be good. That's going to happen. You better get used to it, because that's life. That's how that works. You're going to find yourself in those relationships, but I'm going to tell you a secret. You can make them a lot worse, or you can make them some better. If you make yourself a person who other people will work with and can work with, even if they won't work with you, even if it's can work with, at least you've extended that olive branch and hopefully put those people in a position where they have at least the ability, if they should choose to do so, to be on a more friendly, more equitable basis with you. And by the way, that's a matter of conscience, and that's a matter of those three things that I've talked about before, that I consider to be subcomponents of character, and that would be whether or not something is ethical, whether or not it's moral, and whether or not it's legal. As a rule, for me, my morality informs me on the ideas of how I relate to people. And one of the things that it says is, look, be nice to people who despitefully use you. And it's not that I want to be. And I'll be honest, I fail at that far too often. I tend to be that guy on the road who fails at that far too often. Now, I'm not a horrible driver as a result, and I just let people do what they're doing for the most part, but I respond badly to them myself internally, and that's something that I'm working on. I'm trying to fix, because it's not a good thing, it's not a helpful thing, and it's not a useful thing. As a rule, it pays to just say, that's life, and I just need to know that it's going to happen, and I need to be able to deal with it. So here's the thing. Here's what I want to kind of make clear. Others affect your relationships, your activities where they're involved. They do, they affect that. But as much as they do that, the person who's responsible for that isn't that other person, how you do, how you behave. Your responsibility is exactly that. Yours. And you need to be the one who takes responsibility when you're dealing with people or things, when you're fixing things and something doesn't work right, when you break something, whatever. You need to take responsibility for that, whatever's going on, and you need to do whatever you can to remedy anything that's problematic. And if you can't, apologies are a wonderful thing. This is the takeaway of what I'm saying today. Okay, I am getting ready to wrap up this video for the day. I hope you're having a great day. Today is, as I've said, Tuesday, the 17th of November of 2020. That means tomorrow will be Wednesday, the 18th of November of 2020, and that's a special day for me in terms of how I handle things. So I'm going to try and get a video done tomorrow, and I'm particularly going to try and get it done as early as I can, but that's going to be as it is. I hope, as I say, you're having a good day. I hope your week is going well so far. Get ready. Tomorrow is that middle of the week day for most of us who are working, and hopefully things will go well for you for the rest of the week. And I hope I will see you again tomorrow. The speaker on this edition of the Daily Summation is Kurt Schubert. This video was recorded on Tuesday, the 17th of November, 2020. The Daily Summation is created for Kurt's Religion and Politics. Thanks for checking out this video. Remember that you can like it on YouTube and you can give it a rumble on Rumble if you want to do that. I have channels on both YouTube and Rumble. They are the Kurt's Religion and Politics channels. You can subscribe to either one of those if you want to do so. Remember, if you subscribe on YouTube, you probably want to click the notification bell in order to be notified of new content. If you want to see more from me, you can check me out on my blog. That's blogs.kpschubert.com, blogs.kpschubert.com. You can also see my Facebook page. That is Kurt's Religion and Politics on Facebook. You can check out my Twitter, Parler, and Minds.com accounts. My handle on all three of those is at kpschubert. That's at kpschubert. You can check out my podcast. The podcast is at podcasts.kpschubert.com. That's podcast.kpschubert.com. And finally, you can check me out on Patreon. And if you want to support me, that's probably one of the better places that you can do that. I am Kurt's Religion and Politics there. Thanks again for checking out this video, and hopefully we will see you again tomorrow.